He was 72, fit, active, and still sexually engaged. But one morning he woke up to something terrifying, no feeling in his penis. No arousal, no pressure, no pain, just numbness. It wasn't a disease or a side effect. It was a private habit he'd practiced for years and never questioned. I'm Dr. James, a men's health specialist with over 30 years of experience helping older men stay strong, confident, and sexually healthy. And this, penile numbness from incorrect masturbation, is one of the most overlooked threats I see. You may think it's harmless, even healthy, but done the wrong way, it slowly damages nerves and restricts blood flow without you even noticing. Today, I'll reveal 4 common masturbation mistakes silently harming older men and show you how to avoid them. And at the end, I'll share one powerful method to restore sensitivity and intimacy, naturally and safely. Let's begin. Before we dive in, if this topic matters to you or someone you care about, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another vital men's health update designed specifically for seniors. And if you find this video helpful, type 1 in the comments. If you feel it could be better, type 0. Your feedback helps me make each video more valuable for you. Let's start with the first mistake. One that most men have overlooked for years without ever realizing the damage it's been causing. 1. Mistake 1. Over-gripping. The death grip that dulls your sensation. It often begins with the intention to feel more, a little extra pressure, a tighter grip, something to recreate the intensity that once came naturally. But over time, this turns into a dangerous habit, one that older men rarely recognize until it's too late. This is what's often referred to in medical circles as the death grip. While it may sound dramatic, the consequences are anything but exaggerated. As men age, the body's sensitivity naturally changes. Blood flow slows, nerve endings become more delicate, and skin elasticity decreases. When masturbation is performed using a tight, forceful grip, especially one applied repeatedly over the years, it begins to overwhelm the sensitive nerve fibers that are essential for sexual pleasure. What started as a simple adjustment to feel more can eventually lead to feeling nothing at all. This isn't just about diminished sensation during intimacy. The overuse of pressure causes microdamage to the penile tissue, tiny injuries that accumulate over time. These small traumas gradually impair the nerve's ability to respond while also restricting the blood vessels that feed oxygen and nutrients to this highly specialized part of the body. The result is a gradual, often irreversible dulling of sensation. It doesn't happen overnight, and that's precisely why it's so dangerous. Most men continue the habit for years without noticing what's slowly being taken away from them. Adding to the concern is the lack of education around this topic. Men aren't taught how to safely touch themselves. No one talks about how older nerve tissue needs to be handled with more care or how the body's ability to recover weakens with age. In silence and privacy, many men continue using excessive pressure, mistakenly believing it's the only way to feel anything, when in fact it's the very thing causing the loss of feeling. Over time, they begin to notice that it takes longer to get aroused, that climax feels muted, and that touch no longer excites the way it used to. They assume it's aging or low testosterone or just getting older, but often it's the result of years of physical habits that damaged what once worked perfectly. To make matters worse, this habit trains the body to expect intense, unnatural pressure. This means that during real intimacy with a partner, where sensation is gentler and more emotional, the body may struggle to respond. It creates a disconnect not only in the body, but in relationships, intimacy, and self-confidence. Many men begin to withdraw emotionally or avoid intimacy altogether, unsure of what's wrong but too ashamed to speak up. The good news is that awareness is the first step to healing. Loosening the grip, slowing down, using lubrication, and focusing on full-body awareness instead of mechanical stimulation can gradually retrain your body to respond with less effort. It's not about stopping, it's about adjusting to support your changing body, your health, and your long-term function. But while overgripping causes physical trauma, there's another mistake that harms the mind. and it's just as destructive to your sexual health. Let's take a look at how something millions of men use every day is silently rewiring their brains and shutting down their desire. 2. Mistake 2. Porn-Induced Numbness. Hijacking the brain, silencing the body. At first glance, it seems harmless, just a little screen time, a private moment, a way to unwind. For many older men, watching pornography during masturbation has become a quiet routine, a habit tucked into the privacy of early mornings or lonely nights. But what's happening beneath the surface is far from harmless. In fact, it may be silently reshaping your brain's arousal system and numbing your body's natural ability to feel pleasure. The aging brain remains incredibly powerful, but it also becomes more sensitive to overstimulation. Pornography today isn't what it was decades ago. It's faster, more extreme, constantly switching scenes, angles, and intensities. It overwhelms the senses. Over time, this kind of stimulation trains the brain to need more and more just to feel the same level of excitement. It's called desensitization, a biological process where your brain's reward system dulls its response to natural arousal triggers. What this means for older men is simple but devastating. Real-life touch, emotional connection, and natural intimacy no longer excite the body in the same way. The dopamine surge you once felt from your partner's touch or a moment of closeness can feel muted or flat. You may find yourself needing longer, stronger, or more specific visual content just to become aroused. And eventually, the body stops responding altogether. Erections become weaker, climax becomes harder to reach, and overall sensation in the penis begins to disappear. But the damage doesn't stop at the brain. Your physical response, the blood flow, the nerve sensitivity, the muscular contractions, all rely on clear signals from the brain. When those signals are dulled by repeated exposure to hyperstimulating porn, your body reacts less or sometimes not at all. The penis becomes less sensitive not because it's old, but because the neural pathways that once lit up with pleasure have been numbed by repetition and intensity. Many men also find that pornography creates emotional distance. What once was a tool for escape becomes a wall that separates you from your partner, your emotions, even your sense of masculinity. When intimacy is replaced by screens, loneliness tends to follow. The quiet frustration builds. Why can't I feel anything? Why doesn't she turn me on anymore? Is something wrong with me? These aren't signs of failure, they're signs of overstimulation, and they can be reversed, but only with awareness and change. Reducing porn use, or cutting it out completely for a period, can restore the brain's sensitivity to natural arousal. Focusing on slower, more mindful self-touch without visual content can help retrain the body to respond to real sensation. It's not about shame, it's about giving your nervous system a chance to heal and your body a chance to remember what real pleasure feels like. And while overstimulation through porn rewires the brain, the third mistake takes a more subtle toll by quietly starving the penis of what it needs most: blood. Let's explore the habit that many older men mistake for harmless, but in reality, it's silently cutting off circulation and leaving long-term damage in its wake. 3. Mistake 3. Ignoring recovery. Masturbating without restoring blood flow. As the years go by, many men begin to notice their bodies respond differently. Recovery takes longer, energy isn't quite the same, and physical resilience fades. Yet when it comes to masturbation, most men continue as if their bodies haven't changed at all. One of the most overlooked dangers for older men is the habit of masturbating without allowing for proper recovery, especially when combined with dehydration, poor circulation, and physical inactivity. What many don't realize is that masturbation, like any physical activity, places demands on the body. The pelvic region in particular requires good blood flow to stay healthy. Every erection, every climax depends on a well-oxygenated, well-nourished network of blood vessels and nerves. But when men masturbate frequently, especially daily or more, without making time for rest and circulation recovery, they slowly deprive the penis of what it needs most: fresh blood and oxygen. The issue isn't masturbation itself, but the lack of balance. As we age, our capillaries shrink, our arteries stiffen, and our nitric oxide levels decline. These changes make it harder for blood to circulate freely through the pelvic area. When men engage in regular self-stimulation without also incorporating movement, hydration, stretching, and rest, the result is reduced circulation, and where blood doesn't flow, damage begins. This can lead to a condition known as penile hypoxia, a chronic lack of oxygen in the tissues. The nerve endings responsible for sensation suffer, the smooth muscle within the penis weakens, and over time, the tissue can atrophy. What this looks like in real life is startling: weaker erections, longer recovery time between arousals, and eventually a sense of numbness that can't be reversed by medication alone. Compounding the issue is the reality that many older men spend much of their day sitting at a desk, in front of a television, or reclining in a soft chair. This static posture already limits pelvic circulation. Add masturbation without recovery or circulation-boosting habits, and you create a silent but powerful decline in penile function. What's worse is that most men assume these changes are just a natural part of aging. They don't see the connection between their habits and their symptoms. They begin to feel frustrated, less confident, and more disconnected from their sexuality. But the truth is, your body is not broken. It's just begging for balance. The good news is that even small changes can lead to powerful results. Gentle stretching, regular walking, deep breathing exercises, and pelvic floor activation can help restore blood flow. Taking breaks between sessions, staying hydrated, and treating masturbation as a mindful act of care, not just release, can protect the very systems that keep you feeling alive, confident, and connected. Still, even when recovery is honored, there's one more mistake that's often ignored. A mistake not of habit or frequency, but of physical position. The way you sit, the angle of your spine, even the chair you choose can have a dramatic effect on circulation and nerve health. And this next mistake might be the silent reason so many men are losing sensation without ever realizing why. 4. Mistake 4. Bad posture and restricted circulation. Sitting the wrong way while masturbating. It's something few men ever consider, yet it plays a critical role in sexual function. Your posture, how you sit, the angle of your hips, the tilt of your spine, all of it affects the circulation and nerve function in your pelvic region. For older men, this becomes even more important because as we age, our bodies become less forgiving of pressure, restriction, and poor positioning. And yet many continue to masturbate while slouched in recliners, hunched over in chairs, or lying at awkward angles that silently compress vital nerves and blood vessels. The human body isn't designed to stay in a seated position for long hours, especially in postures that limit movement or restrict the lower back and pelvic area. When you're seated for extended periods, particularly in deep chairs with legs bent sharply or hips folded, the blood flow to your pelvic floor decreases. Combine that with masturbation in that same position, and you double the strain. The perineal nerves, which are responsible for much of the penis's sensation, run through that very area, and when compressed repeatedly, they can become damaged over time. This restricted blood flow and nerve compression might not be noticeable in the moment. In fact, most men report feeling fine until one day they realize something's off. The erections aren't as strong, the climax feels dull, the recovery takes longer, and sometimes there's a strange tingling or numbness that wasn't there before. These are all warning signs, your body's way of saying the system is under stress. What makes this mistake especially dangerous is how subtle it is. Most men are careful about what they eat, how often they exercise, even how often they masturbate. But posture is often an afterthought until it becomes a problem. And in many cases, it's not just about masturbation. Hours of sitting throughout the day, combined with poor body mechanics during sexual activity, gradually reduce the health of the entire pelvic region. Over time, this creates a condition called pudendal nerve entrapment, a painful and sometimes irreversible condition that leads to decreased sensation, sexual dysfunction, and in some cases, chronic pain in the groin and inner thighs. What starts with a numb moment in the penis can eventually grow into something that affects your entire lower body. And yet very few men know that something as simple as changing the way they sit could have prevented it. Correcting this habit begins with awareness. Use a firm, supportive chair with good lumbar support. Keep your spine upright, your hips level, and avoid putting pressure directly on your tailbone or the base of your penis. Change positions frequently and never stay in one posture too long. When masturbating, try to do so lying flat on your back or standing briefly to improve circulation. These small adjustments can make a huge difference in long-term nerve and blood vessel health. You've now learned the 4 biggest mistakes silently reducing sensation, weakening performance, and damaging confidence in older men. But the good news is, none of this is irreversible. In fact, there's one technique I've taught to hundreds of men that has helped restore sensitivity, improve blood flow, and reignite their connection to their bodies. And it's simpler than you might think. Let me show you how. Conclusion: what you can do about it, starting today. If you've made it this far, you already know this isn't just about the body. It's about your identity as a man, your connection to yourself, your confidence, and the deeply personal experience of aging in silence. For years, you may have blamed the natural passage of time for the changes you felt: weaker erections, dulled sensations, longer recovery, or even the quiet loss of desire. But now you know the truth. It's not always age, it's habits, and those habits can be changed. The first mistake, overgripping, was never about bad intentions. It was about trying to feel something in a body that felt less responsive. But in doing so, many men unknowingly trained their nerves to shut down. The second mistake, porn-induced numbness, wasn't about shame or weakness. It was about overstimulation rewiring your brain and dulling your ability to feel real connection. The third mistake, ignoring recovery, was about moving forward without understanding how deeply your body now needs rhythm, rest, and oxygen to stay healthy. And the fourth mistake, bad posture, was a silent thief, stealing circulation and sensation from your pelvis every time you sat the wrong way and didn't even realize it. But here's what matters most now. You're not powerless. Your body, even at 60, 70, or beyond, is incredibly adaptive. It still responds to change. You can reverse nerve dullness, you can improve circulation, you can retrain your brain to experience intimacy again, not through extremes, but through awareness, intention, and care. Healing doesn't require giving anything up, it simply requires shifting how you relate to yourself, how you touch, how you sit, how you rest, and how you recover. This is not the end of your sexual story. It's a new chapter, one written with knowledge, clarity, and choice. You have the ability to stop these mistakes from doing more harm. You have the opportunity to restore your sensitivity, your confidence, and your joy. And if you start today, small changes can build over weeks into something powerful. You'll begin to notice the difference. Feeling returns, pleasure becomes easier, and intimacy feels deeper and more fulfilling. Thousands of older men have reclaimed this part of themselves once they understood what was really causing the numbness. They didn't need prescriptions, surgeries, or to give up on themselves. They needed the truth. And now you have it too. So take this knowledge seriously. Your body is still capable of extraordinary things. Your pleasure still matters. And the next time you reach for a moment of release, remember, it's not just about the act. It's about honoring yourself. Let this be the start of your restoration, not the quiet surrender to decline, because it's never too late to feel alive again. These lessons are meant to inspire you to live fully and authentically. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Take a moment to reflect and share one thing you've learned and plan to apply in your own life. Let's support each other on this journey toward embracing these truths. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment with 1. If not, feel free to comment with 0. Your feedback means a lot to us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content like this. Thank you for watching, and here's to living life on your own terms.